you cannot, if you want to repeal a law, you repeal it expressly. But you can also create a novel or a new situation by implication of a new law, by implication of a new act, in a situation where your mind is not properly averted to the pre-existing situation. And in that case, the later law should usually be the relevant law. Ordinarily, by logic, when something comes later, that's something that comes later, insofar as maybe it is of equal strength with what was existing before. But that one that comes later should take precedence.
But for purposes of clarity,
yes,
they usually amend.
Ordinarily, I think that if the National Assembly would avert their minds to the fact that there may be a loophole in terms of the funding of SEC here, I think that the National Assembly would also go ahead to also amend it. But the statement in the Appropriation Act, when they said both capital expenditure, recurrent expenditure, or any form of expenditure whatsoever, I think that whatsoever is sweeping enough.
Yeah, but you have some people who say if this was well intended,
yes, then
they would have gone the extra mile to amend it and let it be that way.
I think, in my view, that it may not have got to that situation. I think that it's a dance of playmates that we are seeing. The National Assembly may just be dancing to this beat so as to get the executive to come to them and both of them arrive at a common ground. That's what I think. I think it has not reached a situation where they will go all out to make a wholesome change.
So are they using her as a bait or what?
I think so, because I think it is who blinks first. I think it's a political situation. It is not just purely legal, and that is why I don't want to go strictly legal about it. I think it's more political. It's a battle of politics between the National Assembly and the executive. And I want to also state, like I have always stated, that if you balance the two, they are of equal strength. Yes, in terms of being the three arms of government, but there need to be checks and balances. One arm should be as strong also so as to check the other arm. And also, we realize that the National Assembly, in terms of representation, makes for better representation of the people, and therefore, even if they get there by fraud, they also, by implication, have better strength in terms of representing the interests of the people. So they would speak out for the people more than the executive.
Do you think that the arm of the National Assembly has anything to do with it? Because some people will argue that if it was the Senate, maybe this will not be as protracted as it is.
I think that the Senate is in on it. I'm very categorical in saying it. Because
it's not about their being in on it.
Yes.
Someone is saying that if it was from the Senate itself,
if it emanated from the
exactly,
Senate,
originated from the Senate, it possibly would not have gone through this dimension.
This is conjecture, permits me to say that. I think it's conjecture. We can only, state it in the realm of possibilities, probabilities, that had it arisen from the Senate, that it would have had a different connotation or result. I think that for now, let us treat it as it is.
You don't think that the House has a peculiar problem with the executive?
I don't think it. I think it's the National Assembly that has a peculiar problem with the executive. Let's recall, during the fuel subsidy removal the period, even the Senate came up and asked for the executive to do certain things. The executive refused, only for them later on to come to a compromise, midway by interested and reasonable persons. So I think that it is a situation or a question of the National Assembly versus the executive, not just the House.
So the reps versus the executive arm of government on the DG of SEC, who blinks first, you say?
Yes, who blinks first.
All right, and thank you for coming on. Kechiku Keji is a legal practitioner. We're back after this. Stay with us. Well, yes, indeed, tackling unemployment in the country. That's our next focus today on Sunrise Daily. And Michael Adeleye joins us now. He's a human capital development and training consultant. Thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure.
Well, some time ago, the comments from the Director General of NDE, Malam Abubakar Mohammed, did say that we've got about 20.3 million Nigerians who are currently jobless and not under any form of, he says, any form of job here. Well, this is huge.
It is. Thank you very much, Chamberlain, Sulai, and Makwe. The last time I was on this program, I think on the business morning, a similar thing, issue came up. That was when the the Yowin came into being then. And this is my field. I've been in this industry for around about 15, 17 years. And that's within Europe, in the UK, before I came into Nigeria. And I made an assessment, and I tried to find out why this huge unemployment has actually brought in this kind of menace into the society. And I sort of found out that the government has few policies, like the UN, the Shopee, and so on and so forth. But the implementation is not really what it should be. Because we have tens of thousands of graduates who are obviously roaming our street at the moment. But if you try to find out why are these people not in employment, you will find out majority of them don't have practical experience. And no employer...
Practical experience?
Yeah, work experience, so to say.
Okay. Trying to internalize it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm an employer as well. Most employers are not going to get on people to work for them if you don't have what it takes to move their business from point A to point B. Now, when someone graduates from a university and perhaps you have a 2-1 or first class or whatsoever, that doesn't commensurate to what the employer really wants for them to build their business or their businesses. Now, what is the government actually doing to actually facilitate this, to make it happen? Now, you have the Shopee, for example. Good policy, don't get me wrong, but how is it being implemented? You give me 10,000 naira to go and sweep the roads, collect refuse, and all those sort of things. Is that going to... Are we building a society of people like that to build this country? Of course not.
So what should we be talking about? Because you remember it was last week the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, he used the word time bomb trying to describe the unemployment problem in the country. So if you win Shopee and so many other programs you just mentioned haven't been able to solve all of that, what are we not doing right?
Couple of policies. Now, we're talking about training. Now, this money that goes into the Shopee or the Your Win program. Now, this will be a policy like, okay, these are all the employers in this country, for example. Now, we have millions of graduates who have no practical work experience to actually help employers. Why didn't you bring stakeholders on board, the employers, and say, okay, what we need to do to tackle this problem, first and foremost, is to bring in all these funds, work with the employers, right? If you take a number of graduates to work for you, we will